Two brothers, two countries, one sports obsession. Welcome back, folks, to Touchdowns and Tea Breaks. It's the show where Aussie sun meets American stadium lights and where cricket whites and gridiron helmets somehow, Timbo, make perfect sense in the same conversation. Let's get into it, mate. Big weekend for the NFL last weekend. And you, mate, are sitting right now in freezing cold Central Florida, and I'm in the balmy Brisbane summer weather. It's unbelievable. But, Timbo, the NFL just finished a wild card weekend. It was, mate, some of the best games I've ever seen on a wild card weekend. What are your thoughts, and how'd you go with your picks, mate?
Mate, I might be sitting here in 32-degree weather in New Smyrna Beach here in Florida, which is extremely unusual. However, what is not unusual is how hot I have been with my picks.
You have been very hot, Timbo.
Mate, I picked that the Rams were going to defeat the Panthers, and that was a tight game, though. I didn't think it was going to go down to the wire like that. Panthers really showed a lot of grit and determination, hung in there. Their defense really, they held the Rams to 34 points, I guess, which is, not a bad little feat because the Rams can be known to be scoring a lot of points. So, yeah, pick that one. I know that you were thinking that Jacksonville possibly was going to beat the Buffalo Bills.
I thought that Lawrence was going to win it, mate. I thought he was going to get up over Allen, but that Bills, I guess, experience in the playoffs just came through. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Timbo, another phenomenal down to the wire game. Unbelievable. And the Bills, winning their first road playoff win in over 30 years. 30 years since they've won on the road. Unbelievable. So
last 5 years, I think they've had the number one seed, and so they've been playing at home all this time. It'll be interesting to see how they go tomorrow, my time.
Yep. Against our beautiful Broncos. Come on.
The Denver Broncos. The stadium's going to be rocking, but I guess we'll get into that in a minute. But, Buffalo defeated Jacksonville. I thought that the experience of the Buffalo Bill team would hold out Jacksonville. They're going to have to do this a couple of times to prove that this wasn't a fluke season, I think.
That's right, yeah. And then the Patriots care of business against the Chargers. That was probably the most, I would call it, boring game of the weekend, to be honest. It wasn't a very entertaining matchup. Patriots took care of business at home, and then made what a rivalry! Chicago and the Green Bay Packers. What an incredible game that was! Amazing. And then, of course, 49ers also get a win and live to play another day. So, Timbo, what's happening? This is the divisional round. We've got 4 teams left in the AFC, 4 teams in the NFC. Let's walk through it. Let's get your predictions, Timbo. You just mentioned it before.
Yeah, one thing before we move on, mate. Is I actually predicted that if Pittsburgh Steelers lost last week, that there could be some changes, and Mike Tomlin didn't get fired.
No,
but he stepped down.
Okay, so he's taking care. You know what? If you know that you're probably going to get let go, why not go out on your own terms?
Yeah, 19 seasons with the Steelers. The other interesting tidbit out of that game is that Aaron Rodgers, it looks like that's it. He's one and done.
Really?
I don't think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers again. But the really interesting thing that will be talked about in trivia games for years to come will be that what happened on Aaron Rodgers' last play of his illustrious career. Not many quarterbacks go out like this, and he was fortunate enough to throw a pick six.
He threw a pick six on his last play into retirement.
The last play into retirement. So, I mean, if you can't read the tea leaves there, I think it's time to hang the boots up, Azza.
Absolutely, mate. I was shocked that he was able to return and even be competitive after that Achilles injury that he had. But, mate, well done to him. Great career. And he's been fun to watch over the years. So, Timbo, we got 4 teams left in each of the conferences. First up, the first matchup, Timbo, right off the rank, number 1 seeded Broncos hosting the Bills in Denver. And that's a Saturday afternoon game. So it's going to be beautiful at Mile High, middle of the day, and probably a little chilly, I imagine, but that won't be anything unusual for the Buffalo players. What's your predictions, mate? I have a feeling I know what you're thinking, but what are you going with?
Mate, yeah, how can I say this? I think that the Jags really put it to the Bills last week.
Yeah,
Word on the street is that the Bills are a little banged up.
that's what I've
You know,
heard.
people are talking about, Josh Allen is pretty banged up.
Yep.
Maybe he's saying he's never felt better. So, they're playing those sorts of games. But I think the defense of the Denver Broncos really will need to show up.
Yep.
The Broncos needs to pull out 4 quarters of offense and not just one, because as we know, the Bills can play in the cold. They can rack up points. So this is going to be a tough game for the Broncos, but I think they're going to outlast the Bills. I'm going to make a prediction. It's going to be 27-23 Denver.
Okay, Timbo going with the high scoring matchup. I'm actually predicting, Timbo, the Bills banged up are going to go down by 10.
Okay.
I'm saying they're going down by 10, and I think the Broncos defense is going to hold them to less than 2 touchdowns. So I think the spread will be at least 10, and I think the Bills will not be able to score more than 14 points. So that's my prediction.
Good,
Broncos winning, of course, and the banged up Bills will be sent back to Buffalo. So 49ers at Seahawks, Timbo.
mate. This could be a very
This could be an absolute cracker, I reckon.
yes. Yeah, I'm hoping high scores. This could be 30 points each team. Although the Seahawks defense is there. No George Kittle, I believe, for the 49ers. So that's going to take
Oh,
away one of their weapons, but they do have plenty of other weapons out there. So,
yeah.
49ers Seahawks. Gee, I don't even know who to predict. I've been on a roll, but I think I'm going to have to go with I'm going an upset here. I think the Seahawks might knock off the 49ers.
Okay, well, I'm predicting the same, Timbo, but I don't think it's much of an upset. But that's just me. I'm going Seattle Seahawks, number one seed over the 49ers, because the
Oh,
49, just like the Bills, 49ers are actually banged up a little bit. They had to play a really tight one last weekend. Seattle's been sitting and resting with the Broncos this week, and so I think it's going to be Seattle, not by a big margin, not as big as the Broncos game, but I think, yeah, Seattle will take care of business.
and again, true to my predictions, last week I mentioned in that game that the 49ers would win, but it was going to take maybe some tricks up the sleeve,
Oh,
and there was a
another
trick
trick
play
play.
that
Yes.
Kyle and I were on the phone, and he rang me after the show, and he said, Perko, he said, I've seen you. I just saw the podcast. You mentioned something about some trick plays. I like where you were going with that. So we had a bit of a discussion. Kyle obviously liked my ideas, threw in a couple, and one of those trick plays worked out quite well. I believe they scored a touchdown.
That was right. And I mean, growing up in Denver, watching his dad coach the
Yeah.
mighty Denver Broncos for all those years, I know you guys are quite close friends,
Yeah.
texting buddies. So I'm not surprised by the phone call. All right, moving on. We've got next up on Sunday, first game on Sunday, Texans at New England. And Perko, I have a feeling this one could be a little bit of a rout, I think. What are your thoughts?
Mate,
Think it's going to be close?
this is good and evil. This game is good versus evil. You got CJ, who is a very strong Christian, and then you've got the Patriots,
Yes.
or the team that we don't talk about. So if I've never seen a good versus evil ever before in my life, this is it.
One.
Comes down to this, mate. I'm going to make a prediction. I think that the Texans. I'm going the upset, mate. I think the Texans will beat the Patriots. I think they're going to outlast them. I think Drake May is going to hit the
Wow.
wall. Something's going to happen up there. It's going to be biblical.
Wow. Biblical predictions in New England.
Yes.
Timbo's going Houston Texans. I can't see it, Timbo. The Patriots are looking strong. Their defense last weekend holding the Chargers to 1 field goal. I just think I think New England wins this one easily at home. And I think that's going to lead us to a great AFC championship game. Final game of the weekend, Timbo, we got Rams at Bears. So the Los Angeles Rams heading into cold Soldier Field. What are
Woo.
your thoughts? What do you think it's gonna? What's the outcome of this one? Do you think Rams? Bit of an injury update for our listeners. Matthew Stafford
Yeah.
suffered a finger injury last game,
Yep.
but no fracture, and he's been practicing, so should be good for availability. But it's not great to have your quarterback with a banged up hand. What do you think's going to happen?
No, that doesn't help, and I think the conditions will definitely play a major part and role in this matchup. I think this week I'm really sort of tipping with my heart and not with my head. I've got my mate up there, Jeffrey Fryer. We've been texting overnight. He was hoping for a Bills Bears. He lives up there in, where is it? Way up there in Buffalo, New York. So he's telling me the Bears were probably going to win. So I'm going to go with the Bears, mate. I'm going to go. I've got a couple of buddies down here, the Dons, that I will probably be watching that game with on Sunday down there in Altamont. But I think the Bears are going to take out the Rams, mate. I think the weather's going to play a major role in this game. The Bears are on a bit of a roll.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pick. I'm picking an upset, Timbo. I'm picking Rams over Bears. I'm going. We got to keep it interesting, mate. We can't just have
Yeah.
a clean sweep. So I'm going Rams over Bears,
Okay.
and it's going to be a West Coast bonanza on the
It is.
weekend. West Coast, a lot of West Coast teams. If you throw Denver in there, they're pretty close to the West Coast. I just think the west side of the country is going to dominate this weekend. So Timbo, moving from the NFL, so that's the divisional playoff
Yep.
round. We'll be down to two teams next weekend. After this weekend, we'll be down to two teams in a conference championship round, and then we'll see the winners of the conference championships playing each other in the Super Bowl. Exciting times in the NFL. But we still, Timbo, I know it's hard to believe. Some people are probably thinking, does the college football playoffs ever end? We've been talking about it, it feels like, for about 6 weeks now, Timbo. But we finally are down to the final game, and it's your Indiana Hoosiers,
Come on.
1 seed, taking on the Miami Hurricanes, the U. And for Australians, it's 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So that means it's going to be pretty late evening game, Timbo, on the East Coast on Monday night in the United States. Predictions, mate? I have a feeling I know what you're going to go with, but what are your thoughts? Any updates that we need to know about?
Mate, these Cinderella stories don't come around too often. You know, I think Miami is very much a bogey team for Indiana. We discussed that last time. In fact, I actually had to Google whether the game had happened or not. I was like, geez, we haven't had, it hasn't, maybe this happened and I missed it.
It's been 10
Maybe,
days.
but so last night I'm Googling, I'm thinking, no, but yeah, we still have another week to go, I think. On that, it'll be a Monday night. Yes, it's going to be extremely late. I'm getting used to that, having to watch sport here on the East Coast at ungodly hours. But mate, I'm not going to deviate. I'm going to be loyal to the people of Indiana, to the Hoosiers. I'm going to pick Big Red. They're going to take this out. They're going to take this out. Miami's going to put up a great fight, but
Yes.
they're going to show a lot of hype. They're going to show a lot of toughness, tenacity. But I think that the accuracy of Mendoza, and hey, I mean, the kid needs one last hurrah before he goes off to
To play in
wherever,
Vegas. He's
mate,
going to end up in Vegas, I think, the poor
to the
kid.
desert. Yeah, yeah. I mean, this guy, I feel sorry for the kid. I hope he can pull the Raiders out of whatever funk they've been in for the last 50 years, 100 years. But yeah, I'm sticking with Indiana, mate.
Well, I'm with you, Timbo. I think Indiana wins. I believe it's their first ever football national championship. I think it'll be their first ever. And
Yeah,
Miami is seeking its first championship national title since 2001. So a lot
yeah.
on the line for both teams, Timbo. It's been a long time for Miami, and it's been an even longer time for the Hoosiers. So we'll see. But I'm picking Indiana over Miami. And we've only got a few more days to wait, folks. So you don't have much time left, and the college football season will be over. Now, speaking of college sports,
Mm.
Timbo, major game fixing and betting scandal involving NCAA players and gamblers was uncovered in the college basketball integrity scandal. And this is all about sports betting, Timbo, which I know for a lot of Americans, it's a new phenomenon in a sense because you've kind of been in the States, if I understand this correctly. It was
Yep.
kind of only done in Vegas. Like you had to have a bookie in Vegas putting bets on for you. But now they've opened the floodgates and people can bet from wherever on their phones or whatever. That's not illegal from what I understand in the United States, like it used to be at one point. So I'm not surprised, Timbo, that we're getting some of these sports betting scandals when it's been restricted for so long the way it has been. Any news or thoughts on that, Timbo, that you've heard of this college basketball sports betting scandal?
The only comment I got about this is I'm wondering if it started in Minnesota. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on up there, but you're right, Jace. The betting here in America is kind of third world. It's got something to do with the Indians back in the day. they're
It
really
was all relegated to reservations, is what we're saying.
yeah, yeah, you've got to have yeah, that's exactly right. Something about the casinos are all on Indian land,
Yep.
but just recently they've started coming out. So yeah, even as early as last year, you had to do, some offline, betting or gambling if you wanted to be a part of that world. But now you can get Hard Rock, jump on there. You got your DraftKings, you got all these sports. So this was always going to happen.
Yeah.
But mate, it's just amazing. Like these college kids, I mean, they wanted they wanted to get paid. Yeah, they're throwing up things like, oh, we want to get paid when we're in college to play. The NCAA finally did this with the NIL thing. It's
Yep.
just pure greed, mate. Like it's point
It is.
shaving. It's ridiculous. And these people need to be made an example of and just get rid of them. Get them out, ban them for life. I mean, it's just
I
ridiculous.
think so. We send them to the desert, send them back to Vegas from where they came, and they
Yes.
can live out their lives in Vegas for the rest of their lives with those sorry Raiders while they're at it.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
agree.
the punishment.
Totally agree, mate. It's just, I mean, greed is just not a part of anyone's society, especially when these guys are getting paid millions of dollars now. It's just a joke.
Well, Timbo, we'll go from college basketball to the professional league. And, mate, there's some big news happening in the NBA right now. There are talks, Timbo. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are talks of a second professional NBA league starting up in Europe. Are you aware of this, Timbo?
Uh,
The NBA is talking about a European professional league that will be NBA affiliated because of how many great players are coming out of Europe, great European clubs over there. And the NBA are talking about actually expanding. And I imagine, Timbo, we could be looking at potentially down the road a global network of affiliated NBA leagues around the world. And then you could come together for a world championship of all of the best
mm,
clubs from each of the leagues, mate. How good a playoffs would that be to have a real world championship where the best clubs from around the world. It's like the soccer, mate. I think they're taking a page out of the UEFA Cup kind of concept, and they're trying to go after the best basketball in Europe at the moment. Have you heard about this?
Mate, I have not, to be honest with you. I have not been up on this, but I mean, my question, I guess, is what's going to happen with this? I mean, is the Joker, Doncic, are they going to say, listen, if you're going to have a league over there in our own backyard, what's to stop them from going, right, well, I'm out of here. I don't want to be in America anymore. I'd rather go home because I know where Nikolai'd rather be. He'd rather be out on his farm with his horses, with his animals. He'd rather be
Mm.
playing basketball over there. What's going to happen with that?
Well, and Timbo, let's be honest, mate. How many people would stay in Vegas in the desert when you could go to Croatia and play basketball? It's a beautiful country.
Oh, please.
Why would you stay in Vegas, mate? I don't think it's just going to be the Europeans thinking that it might be better to fly across the Atlantic. I think some American players would be
Yes,
saying, I wouldn't mind going and living in Europe for a few years and playing professional hoops over there if it's going to be an NBA affiliated league. So, Timbo, I
exactly.
think it's big news. I'm pumped about it. I'm excited. Ever since I think it all started, Timbo, in '92 when we had the Dream Team in Barcelona. Ever since then, the NBA has become a global sport like no other American sport that I can think of. And it's really, I think, the NBA's move to try and rival soccer or football, as they say in Europe, to try and rival that sport and to get a bigger global market. So I'm excited about that. And the
Yeah,
NBA have kind of tipped their hat during the All Star game, Timbo, a new format for the All Star game, first time ever. Let's walk through, Timbo, for our listeners, exactly what the NBA All Star game is going to look like this year. Three
yeah.
teams, is that right? Is that what I've heard?
Yeah, they're gonna well, that's a little different thing that they're gonna do. They're gonna have 2 American teams, and they're gonna also have a world team as well.
A world thing, yeah.
But I think that's a little off to the side, a little side thing.
Well, I think that's the main games, Timbo.
Is that
I think they're getting rid of. I'm pretty certain about
East-West
this.
is out?
East West is out. There's no longer, Team LeBron versus Team Giannis. That was a thing that they were doing and mixing it up for a while. The conference is kind of that's been a little ways away. I think it's a completely new format featuring a three-team round robin format, two USA teams. So players, I believe it's up to 8 players on a team. So they're only
Right.
going to have 3 subs. The games are going to be 12-minute short games, and they're going to play 4 of those. So each team will get to play each other at least once, or maybe that means twice, actually, I think. So you'll play each other twice, and then the winning 2 teams are going to play it off in a final, and that's going to be the All-Star game. I like the fact that the NBA are trying things, Timbo. Sometimes organizations, companies, even sports leagues can get in a rut and keep doing the same thing over and over again. And I like the innovation. I say give it a try. If it doesn't work, that's fine. We can figure it out next year. But we'll be seeing all of that take place in the Clippers, I should say, home stadium there of in Intuit Dome, the Intuit Dome, one of the newer arenas in the NBA. So Timbo,
Yeah.
let's talk All-Star lineups. You got
Yeah. I've got
lineups
them right
for us?
here. I've got the Western Conference. I've got the Eastern Conference. We've got the reserve. I mean, the biggest one is you're looking at Steph Curry coming off the bench
Yeah, I know.
in an All-Star game.
Mate, I'm telling you, I mean, LeBron James, same thing. He'll be coming
Yeah.
off the bench. I don't see him coming, starting. But again, Timbo, with 2 American teams and 1 world team, I mean, look at just the Western Conference fan voting. Luca, Nicola, you got Victor,
Wendy.
Wembanyama.
Yep.
You got SGA. I mean, he's a Canadian, so I think they're going to put him on the world team. So really, Steph Curry is the only American in the top 5 voting for the Western Conference. So I think we're going to see some, I think, really good games. I'm excited about this new format, mate.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, they've got a lot more American players on the Eastern Conference. Although you got
Yeah,
Giannis in there, I'm guessing Giannis is going to play for the world, isn't he?
yeah, he would have to. He'd be playing. He's the Greek
He,
god. He can do
he's the
that.
most. He's
He's
He
as Greek.
reminds me he's the most Greek person I've ever seen in my life, you know? He reminds
Yeah,
me of remember Con the Fruiterer back in Australia, back in the day, Con, you know?
marvelous. Yes, I do.
Really,
Yeah,
every
beautiful.
time
Everything's
I see
beautiful.
Giannis play, it takes me back to Paddy's Markets, Parkley Markets, where they're going, "Cheaper, cheaper, cheaper, get you." So Giannis really embodies Greece, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the East can do, but, I mean, there's gonna be no matchup for the West.
They are not going to be a matchup for the West. And I do see a lot of resemblance from Con the Fruiter
Yeah.
and Giannis. A lot of similarities there. Yeah, yeah,
We'll have
absolutely.
to show our listeners, what we're
Oh,
talking about
we're going to get a photo. We'll get a photo of Con the Fruiter,
next to
and
Giannis.
yeah, he'll be talking about how beautiful his fruit is. It's absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
So Timbo, Australian sports right now. I've just got to call it for what it is, mate. We're in a
Bit
bit
of
of a
a
lull. We're in a bit of a lull. Okay. Now, normally this time of year, we'd be seeing a lot of T20 international cricket with maybe the Poms and the Indians or the Sri Lankans or somebody here. And we'd be playing a lot of 1-day matches as well. But
yes.
because of the upcoming World Cup, Cricket World Cup for the T20, that's all been postponed, Timbo. So we're relegated to just the Big Bash League, which is, I mean, it's not bad, but it's nothing like international cricket.
No.
The Australian Open has started. In
Outdoor
fact,
ping pong?
outdoor ping pong. I'll be
Yep.
down there at the Rod Laver Arena next week. I'll be actually recording the podcast live from the Australian Open.
Say good day to Rod.
And who knows, Timbo, I might even have some guest appearances of some tennis players down there because I'll be with some friends of mine. Stan Smith of the Adidas tennis shoe. You may be familiar with Stan
Yeah.
Smith. I'll be with
Stan.
Stan next week. So I might just see if Stan and I can do a quick little interview for the Touchdowns and Tea Breaks podcast. We'll
Oh,
see.
that would be excellent. That would be an exclusive, mate, and I'd
Oh,
love to have a beer with Stanley.
he's a lovely bloke. So we'll see if we can pull that together. Australian Open, big stuff happening there. But Timbo, the real big news right now is
Mm.
we are only about 2 weeks away, Timbo. 2 weeks, just 2 weeks,
Yes.
kickoff of the NRL preseason challenge. Okay,
Let's go.
this is featuring all of the 16 NRL clubs, with the exception of the champion Brisbane Broncos.
That'll
Don't
be
get that
good.
deceived with the Denver Broncos. 2 championship clubs. I understand it's hard to, you know, pick out who's the champ because they're both so championship-like. But
Yes,
the
they are.
Broncos from Brisbane will be out of the preseason because of they're heading to the World Cup, or I should say, the World Club Challenge in the UK, where all
Yep.
the best clubs from around the world will be playing in kind of a round robin tournament. But Timbo, let's talk about some key early matchups. We've got the big opening round of the NRL happening in Vegas. This is our third year.
Yep.
The NRL have taken the opening round, or at least two of the games, over to Vegas. We got the Bulldogs, Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, taking on the Cows of North Queensland. What's your prediction, Timbo? Bulldogs, I felt like last year they didn't come through. Like they were playing well the whole season, but they kind of waned in the end. Do you think they can come out strong?
I guess the analogy I could use with the Bulldogs, I mean, the Bulldogs were languishing in that Padstow, Bankstown area, for many years. The doggies were
Oh,
just gone. All of my Lebo mates were losing their minds. Johnny Sarkis and the boys, but they remind me of what Jacksonville did this year. Jacksonville
okay.
really turned a corner. They
Yep.
showed a lot of promise. They really dug themselves out of the hole that they were in, but still not enough experience to get them through to the big games.
That's it.
Jacksonville did quite well. They made it as far as they did, but they kind of remind me of that. So the doggies going over to play the Cowboys. I think the doggies, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't know. Are they taking all their number one players? That's the sort of thing with these preseason games that always, not everyone's playing. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Cowboys, mate. I can't cheer for the doggies. Sorry.
Okay. So, Timbo, a little correction, and this is my fault.
Oh, sorry.
The Dogs are taking on the
St.
Dragons. That's
George.
my fault. They're
I thought
taking
they
on
were.
St. George Illawarra in Vegas. They're playing the Cows in the first game of the preseason. That's where I got confused. But the opening round of the actual season will feature the Dogs versus the Dragons in Vegas. So you're
That's what
still
I thought.
going Doggies,
Okay.
or does that change things up for you?
Well, yeah, obviously the Cowboys aren't going to win, but yeah, mate. Yeah, I thought we talked about this last week, and I thought, hang on a minute, there's been a schedule change, mate. George Dragons. I mean, this is like this. This is St. George. That's my mate Sasha. Sasha versus the Sarkis. So it's Serbia versus Lebanon. Really, that's what these games are in Australia. I'm going to be going for the St. George Dragons. I still
Okay,
can't cheer
Dragons
for the
over
doggies,
Dogs.
mate.
Dragons over the Doggies.
Yeah.
Second game in Vegas is going to be the Newcastle Knights, the Novocastrians, taking on the Cows from North Queensland. We're back to the actual schedule. So we've got the Knights taking on the Cowboys. Timbo, I'm picking Cowboys over Knights.
Same
I
here,
just
mate.
I just think the North Queensland boys, they had a great season last year. In fact, I really applaud them for what they were able to pull off. And that's my prediction. Now, Timbo, first round, let me just for our listeners, let people in on what's happening in the rest of the round. We got Storm taking on the Eels at Amy Park in Melbourne. We got the Warriors versus the Roosters. That'll be happening across the ditch over at Smart Park. Broncos beat Panthers opening round at Suncorp Stadium at the Cauldron. That's going to be a great matchup. Oh, what a cracker that'll be. Bucks Titans,
Yes.
Seagulls Raiders, Timbo. Our Manly Seagulls taking on the Canberra Raiders. And that's a home game that will be kicking things off at Fort
Ricky?
Pine Park at Brookie. And so I think I'm obviously picking the Seagulls to win that one. And then the hometown where I'm at, the
Yes.
Redcliffe Dolphins, the Redcliffe boys, taking on the Rabbitohs at Suncorp Stadium, mate. If the Dolphins win the first game of the season against the Rabbitohs at Suncorp, they will burn down the Redcliffe Jetty. They will burn it down. It'll be up in flames. The Redcliffe Jetty will be gone, mate. That's what I'm predicting.
How'd they go last year, Jace, with the Dolphins?
Mate, the Dolphins, very good team, mate. For an
First year?
expansion team. Yeah, they've had a great 3 seasons now. Mate, one of the better expansion clubs I think the NRL's ever had. And I give it all to the super coach, mate. The super coach Bennett put together an incredible first team. And it's proved them very well. So
Wayne
go
Wayne
for it.
Bennett Wayne
Fins up.
Wayne Yeah, fins up. What Wayne Bennett for our listeners is the Bill Belichick of NRL football. But one thing I'd like to touch on, Jason, I'd like to see the NFL do this in
Yeah.
some sort of way. But all these preseason games that we play in Australia, we actually play them out in the country. So we take the game to places where they don't have a team, For instance, Mackay or Napier or, Sunshine Coast. I know the Raiders are down there and they play in Queanbeyan, but we try and take it out to these regional teams because we're trying to expand the game. I would love to see some of these preseason games, played like You could have a game played in Utah. Utah doesn't have an NFL team.
Imagine, Tim, imagine the Denver Broncos in Omaha, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Imagine it. I mean, it's the college baseball Hall of Fame. The college baseball World Series happens in Omaha, Nebraska.
Well,
And it would be incredible to see the NFL going to
yeah.
places like Birmingham, Alabama.
Well, I don't know about that one. Hang on a
Could
minute.
you
You
could you
going a little.
imagine the scene in Birmingham with the Atlanta Falcons playing in Alabama? It could be huge. I think you're
Yeah.
onto something, Tim.
The Minnesota Vikings playing somewhere down in New Mexico,
In
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yeah, the Bills versus the Vikings in Albuquerque. I think that would be great.
The Albuquerqueans would have never seen anything like it.
Never.
It would be incredible.
I
I
think
think
you're
you're
onto
onto
something.
something, Tim. I really like this idea. I'm thinking there's got to be Boise, Idaho should be on the list. Let's
Coeur
think of
d'Alene. What about Coeur
Lake
d'Alene?
Lake Coeur d'Alene, Idaho,
Lake Coeur d'Alene. What a perfect
overlooking
set.
Lake Coeur d'Alene, Timbo. Let's think of some other lesser known cities and towns in the United States that might do well with this type of
I mean,
an NFL presence, I'd call it.
well, what about you've got Pueblo or Durango in Colorado? You could take it
Yeah,
down to the people
Colorado,
down
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you've
think
got
the altitude's up. You think the altitude's up at Mile High, playing Durango. Could you imagine the oxygen tanks they'd have to wheel in for the players in Durango, mate? That would be priceless. Yep,
and we
that's a
and
good
we got to
one.
make sure that they're towns that don't have major college football teams in them.
Correct. Yeah, Boise State, for instance, in Boise, probably not a good idea because they're already football mad.
I've got one for you. Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri, which is the birthplace of many
Of
famous American presidents. And also the famous Tim Perkins of the Touchdown and Tea Breaks podcast, who's actually celebrating his 57th birthday. Is that right, Timbo?
Shut up.
57th,
Turn
is
it
it?
up, mate. I think your internet connection's breaking down.
It's
Yes,
got
56, mate. Doing well, living life
yeah.
large, enjoying it, trying to get
Happy,
my way back home.
happy birthday, mate.
I
I hope you
appreciate it.
have a spectacular 56th year. So yeah, Springfield, Missouri should be on the list. I would say Bangor, Maine,
Yeah,
as they like to say it up in Maine.
Bang,
Bangor,
Bangor,
Maine.
Bangor,
Bangor,
Fort,
Maine should be on that list.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Now we're talking. Now we're talking. The Chicago Bears take a quick 2-hour drive down the highway to Fort Wayne, Indiana,
Yes.
and they could be playing football right there in Hoosier country. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I'm going to come up with a list of these next week. I think we could do quite
I
well.
think Tim, Des Moines, Iowa should be on the list.
Oh yeah,
Iowa doesn't get enough football. And
yep.
there's a number of states that I think could use some NFL
Tu-
preseason. That would be
Tucson.
Tucson, Arizona, another great option. Yep, another great option. Well, Timbo, that's the big news in the NRL right now. The preseason is happening. We got the Australian Open happening down under in Melbourne. I'll be there next weekend.
Okay.
We've got what's happening in the NBA. I mean, there's just a lot going on around the countries, and it's exciting. It's an exciting time for sports in general. But it's a bit of a transition, wouldn't you say, Timbo? A bit of a transition at the moment.
Yeah, it is a transition. A little light on sports in Oz at the moment. But yeah, the NRL, I mean, this is what I love the most. We go straight from the NFL straight into the NRL, and then when the NRL ends, we're back into the NFL. So, when
Exactly.
there's not enough football, it's just too much football. But I just like this time of year. We've got these playoff games coming up. It's going to be a massive weekend for the NFL. So I'm
Mm,
really looking forward to that. I think there's a few golf tournaments going on around the world as well. But yeah, it's a little quiet in Oz at the moment because normally we have those one-day cricket matches. We have the 50-over game. We have the T20s
yeah.
as well. Obviously, that's been scrapped because of this World Cup T20 thing that's starting down on the subcontinent this shortly. But what we're doing is, what is that? Out of the park clips.
Timbo, we've got a lot happening. I think we've got even the cross country world championships happening at the moment as well, which is another big thing to be keeping your eye on is the
Cross-country
cross
world
country world
champion.
championships happening, and Aussies could they could be going after gold at the cross country world championships. So what's the out of the park clips, Timbo? The shark cat?
Shark catch? What's going on there, mate?
I don't know, mate, but I'll tell you what's happening with the sharks in Australia right now. Our friends who really love the sharks, they're people that don't ever swim or surf. They've
Right.
been protesting the shark nets. So all
Please.
all along the east coast of Australia right now, they're taking out the shark nets and putting in, I think they're called shark drums, and it's to distract the sharks because they love playing drums. So they're hoping the sharks will go over to these drums and get their flippers and start banging on the drums and not come into the shore and eat people or something. It's some sort of bizarre thing going on, mate. But I'll tell you right now, our shark attacks are through the roof at the moment in Australia. It's no laughing matter. I mean, it is literally life and death. It's quite sad. But the point is, I think that we've got some people that love sharks more than they like human beings and surfers. So we bring back the shark nets, please. Come on, bring them back.
Tell me, are these white chicks?
I'm not sure. I haven't checked out the demographics of the people that are asking for the nets to be taken down.
They're probably the most pastiest looking people out there. They drop their kids off at school and they go, right, we'll head down to Bondi, we'll head down to Bronte and we'll just start save the shark. Like, are you serious? What's going on? The world's gone
Save
mad.
the sharks while I'm sipping my latte down at Coogee Beach. That's what's happening.
They don't care about the coffee bean getting plucked out of its own habitat there in Brazil. I bet they don't care about the coffee bean at all.
They should be picketing in Indonesia at the coffee bean plantations right as we speak, but they're not doing that. They're taking down shark nets, and our surfers are in peril. Our
Save the
surfers are.
coffee bean.
So, well, Timbo, it's been a great week of sport. What an exciting weekend we had, especially the wild card weekend. Looking forward to the NFL playoffs. Any final words for our listeners? Any hopes, Timbo, for the 56th year of Tim Perkins?
Yeah, mate. Something big's coming up. There's going to be it's probably along a podcast line. There's going to be something big that's going to be coming out. Working on launching my own thing. It's going to be a lot different. Well, it could have a little bit of sport in it. It's going to be a little bit of humor. We can talk a little politics, religion, everything that is taboo. Everybody says that you can't talk about. Well, that's what we're going to talk about. We'll get some guests on. We're going to ruffle some feathers. We're going to look deeper into where the world is heading. We're doing that. Also looking to try and be doing that back on Aussie shores.
Okay, back down under for this year.
Oh, actually, maybe.
Possibly.
Hang on, I better not say that yet. Let me work on that one.
Get that one.
Anyway, there's a lot of surprises that are coming this year. I hear that there is another wedding happening in Sydney that I need to be attending coming up. Family reasons. Ivo's heading off to somewhere. Not allowed to tell him. It's highly classified, but he's getting deployed shortly. But there's a lot coming up this year, mate.
Big year. Big year, mate. Big year for me as well. We've got. I don't think I'm going to have another wedding in our immediate family. We've had two years in a row. That's my bank account drained, basically.
I hear he's in Breckenridge, isn't he? Going to Breckenridge soon?
We've got Miles, our youngest, heading over to the States as we speak. He'll be in Colorado snowboarding, and I hope he gets some snow.
He better bring his skateboard.
Better bring his skateboard. Not a lot of snowboarding to be done. He'll be back for a couple of days, and then he's off to Japan, where the powder apparently is first class this year. So he's off to Japan for some snowboarding after being disappointed in Colorado, I think.
I've done that, mate. I've done some snowboarding in Japan, and it is some of the biggest mountains I've ever been on. I think we only went down like 4 or 5 times, and it was like the end of the day. We had to leave to go home. I couldn't believe it. I was like, hang on a minute, but you ski down or snowboard down half a mountain in Japan. You need to stop and have a
snow break on the way down.
Yeah, or a kidding Ichiban and a couple of bit of sushi. You can
sushi there.
A bit of sushi and a couple of kidding Ichibans, and then off you go again. A bit of hot sake.
So he's that's him. He's traveling, and I'm trying to think. I don't have as many international trips this year, Timbo. I'm only, I think, overseas maybe half a dozen times this year. So should be a light year of travel for this Perko.
I haven't been to New York for a while, mate. So let me know when you're up there. I'll pop in and say good day.
That'll be later this fall, I believe, late September, early October. So
okay.
All right. Well, Timbo, we better wrap this thing up. Our listeners are now going, has this got anything to do with sports anymore? I'm not sure. about a touchdown or a tea break in the last 20 minutes. But hey, for all of you that are still listening to the podcast, have a great week. Make sure that you wish Timbo a happy birthday on the socials here at Touchdowns and Tea Breaks. And again, follow us on the socials at Touchdown and Tea Breaks. And you can find all of our podcast recordings, the shorts, the longs, all of it, everything in between on YouTube. That's a great way to watch the podcast. And then you can listen wherever you get your podcasts from. All right. Have a great week, everyone.
Let's go.
Yes. Bye.
Go Bronco.
Go Broncos.